Welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm Roger Knecht, president of Universal Accounting Center, and this podcast is dedicated and designed to help individuals have the successful accounting, bookkeeping, and tax business. This podcast actually is addressing the various things that are needed for an individual to have a successful accounting, bookkeeping, tax business, offering quality accounting services and getting paid what they're worth. Each episode is actually a conversational piece where I discuss with certain experts in the accounting world things that they find are important to actually build the premier accounting firm. In order to do this, we're focusing on things such as marketing and sales, tips and tricks related to offering quality services, as well as working efficiently to make sure you're profitable in the businesses and the services that you're offering. Now, with regards to this, we have an excellent guest. It's Natalia Zacharin. Natalia, in 2018, after working for other firms, opened her own business. She opened her firm, Zacharin Consulting, a firm dedicated to empowering businesses to understand and interpret the financial health of their business and significantly improve their bottom line. Using a blend of personal services and expertise, Natalia's goal is to bring her experience and her knowledge to her clients in a meaningful way. Zacharin Consulting offers strategic bookkeeping, monthly accounting, remote CFO services, and financial intelligence programs to help businesses thrive, stay organized, save time, and give them peace of mind. So, Natalia, I think that's an admirable thing, and I'm excited to discuss it with you. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here today.
Well, it's going to be fun because I think your story is something that a lot of people can relate to. So why don't we start there? Tell us a little bit of how you got involved in accounting.
So it was actually by accident. Several years ago, when I was going through a divorce, I was a stay-at-home mom. Prior to that, I was in sales. I was a sales rep for Reynolds Food Service Packaging, a territory manager. And then I decided to stay home and become a mom for about 6 years. And during that time, went through a divorce. And when I returned back to the workforce, it was in 2012, everything had changed significantly. And it was really hard to get a job. So I actually fell into a job. I was really struggling financially. My first job while I was going through my divorce, because it was so hard to find another job, was actually working for minimum wage. And minimum wage back then was, I think it was $7.10 an hour at White House Black Market, which was where I used to go shopping and drop hundreds of dollars, maybe even close to $1,000 while I was married. And then I begged them for a job. And from there, I found out actually from my ex-husband about a job for a small company in the Baltimore city area. And I applied there and I got that job. So that job included basically just being an invoicing clerk. So that was really my first introduction into the financial world in 2012.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So you're working as a clerk doing inventory. Is that what you said?
Invoicing.
Invoicing. Okay. So with that responsibility, you're being exposed to the accounting model and numbers. What then drew you deeper into actually getting into bookkeeping and accounting?
So while I was there, my strategy was to make myself important to them because I needed the job so desperately. And so everything that they needed, and they were a smaller company at the time, so everybody wore various hats. And so everything that they needed done or anything I could think of, I would just start doing it or I would try to learn it. And then one day their controller left. And I walked up to the CFO of the company and said, whatever she was doing, I can do for you. Just let me know. You can train me. You can teach me. I'll take it on. And so he gave me one of the companies that was under the umbrella of our company, one of their smaller companies. He gave me their QuickBooks to do. They had QuickBooks Desktop. I had no idea what I was doing. So, but I started figuring it out and I started learning it on my own. And that was really my first exposure to any kind of bookkeeping, was learning it by myself.
So there's two things that I'd like to point out here to our listeners, and I think this is something that is really worth noting, is first of all, there are a lot of people similar to you who get thrust into this world of accounting. And what I mean by that is it's their life that actually puts them in a position like yourself to actually get into this career. And I think there's a lot of people that can identify with it because it's not like they had this preconceived notion that they followed during their years of going to college and such, that this was their career path, and they had the drive to follow into this profession because it was something that they had a family member or a friend or someone they knew do it, and they were drawn to it. You were obviously, through different things going on in your life, being put into positions that led you here. And honestly, if you went back 10, 20 years ago, it's not like you were excited and eager to pursue this career, but yet here you are, and this is where it's gotten you. But the second thing I'd like to point out is there's sometimes people with a stigma that say, well, if you don't know bookkeeping and you're not formally trained, you really shouldn't be doing this type of thing. But I think your passion and your drive to do whatever it takes to succeed within your career as you're trying to kind of get your feet back on the ground again is a testament to the fact that if you put your time and energy to this, this is a profession you can learn and you can do well at by actually now kind of embracing it and getting into it with a determination to make it work. So I like where your story's gotten so far. So share with us then, you've taken over the responsibilities from this controller that's left. You're doing the books, you're learning QuickBooks desktops. How was this initially for you when you said you were going to take on this responsibility, give me the opportunity? How did that experience go for you? Was it as easy as you hoped? Was it something that came quickly for you?
It wasn't as easy as I'd hoped. It wasn't. It actually, and it didn't even pan out the way I had hoped. Even with the company, the CFO ended up leaving about a year or two after. So he was interested in promoting me and really wanted to work with me and wanted me to stay in the financial part of the business. And then he left. So he was really my biggest advocate. And after he left, things had really changed dramatically. And the company was growing and they were bringing in other people. And so I kept getting overlooked. I'm a single mom. I'm middle-aged. And I have to sometimes leave on a dime because I had a commute and my daughter had, parent-teacher conferences or a doctor's appointment. I have no family in town. So it was really complicated. And but to get actually back to what you were asking me, was it easy? It wasn't easy. I kept trying to figure things out and trying to understand. And I think what made the big difference was I wanted to do the bookkeeping and understand why I'm doing this and what is the result and what do we want to see. Not just categorize blindly, just really look at things and think about why we're putting things in certain buckets. And I believe that really helped me to understand it. And then I started just reading a lot and trying to learn on my own as much as I possibly could.
So after this person leaves, what happened to you career-wise? What was the evolution as you were being passed over?
It went into a slump, and I never was making enough money while I was going through my divorce and after my divorce. So being a single parent in a pretty expensive county on the Eastern Seaboard was really difficult. I could barely make my mortgage. My mom was helping me. I felt embarrassed. I kept looking for other jobs and not being able to really get interviews. And I met someone who owns their own company. So I started in a relationship, and he owns his own tax and accounting firm. And he said, just start your own business. And I was like, that sounds crazy. Why would I do that? I'm not an accountant. And so he said, just do it. And so I think actually, I almost believe that he was put into my life at a time when I really needed it, because I felt like there weren't a lot of options for me, and I didn't want to give up. I refused to give up. I didn't want to have. I had this vision of myself being, still working for Walmart when I was 90 years old and being a greeter, and I didn't like that vision.
Okay.
So I really wanted to thrive, and I wanted to have a lifestyle, and I needed to be home because my child really needed me as well. She was going through a lot of hard times. And so this was the perfect opportunity for me to be completely in control, have the flexibility that I need, and try to figure it out. And I just thought, okay, well, I'm going to start and see what happens. If anything, maybe it'll just be additional income. And then it just started happening. I have a sales background, so I think that really helped. And I got my first client, and then I started getting to the tipping point where I was still working full time, and then on the side in the evenings, on the weekends, trying to get clients and working on their books. And it became too difficult to do both. So I had to make a decision.
That story is something I believe so many can relate to. The idea of starting an accounting business, for some, it's something that they're so excited to do that they do drop everything and go into this full force. They do it with the intent of being full-time from the get-go. But more often than not, it's a supplemental income like you're describing. They've got a day job. They're supplementing and doing the work with clients on weeknights, weekends. And there does come that moment like you're describing where a decision needs to be made. Do I keep the day job, or do I actually do this full time? And it's, I think, a natural question to ask of, am I ready to do this seriously full time as my primary income? And that's where you come to that crossroads. So how many clients, do you recall how many you had at the time when you had to make that decision?
Yeah, so this was really an interesting part. It came to the point where I felt like I wasn't doing well, or I couldn't continue and do well in both together because it was becoming too overwhelming. However, I only had 4 clients at the time, and I wasn't making enough money to even cover my mortgage. And I was thinking, what do I do? And I went and listened to a speaker talking about mindset and talking about how basically putting it out into the universe and making a commitment and not turning back. And I thought to myself, she's directly speaking to me. This is a message to put this out into the universe, and I can't fail because I don't have any other options. And so I just, on my 50th birthday, right after my 50th birthday last year, I walked in and I quit before I even had enough money to, I didn't even make enough money for even half of my expenses. And I thought, I just need to do this and I'm going to figure it out. I already felt like I started getting momentum building. That was probably the hardest part. That took almost, I would say, 8 to 9 months of really feeling like I was building the sales momentum, building that pipeline. And it was very frustrating. There were many, many moments of, I don't know why I'm doing this. I can't do this. This is a dumb idea. And then thinking, but this is what I want to do, because it was twofold for me. I really felt like I was helping other people with their businesses. And for me, that was really important. And that was the missing piece for all of the other jobs that I've had in my life, where I felt like I was only working to make an income so that I could survive. And now I was working because I was directly helping other people survive and helping other people with their business. So that was really huge for me. It felt very important and rewarding. And so I made the leap last year. And in 2 months, I tripled my income, my business, and surpassed what I had been ever making before.
Well, first of all, congratulations. I think that is amazing. It's commendable what you're describing. And just to kind of address a few of your key points. One, that magical number of 4 is very similar to what I've experienced. Most of the people I've known, they'll comfortably get up to about 5 clients before they likewise have a similar experience of trying to decide, okay, where am I really going with this? Do I just keep these clients and keep going as I am, or do I literally take this next step and go into this more seriously? And so you did it at 4 clients. The average I typically see is 5 clients. So I think that's a very good thing to notice. I loved your sharing the story of really declaring to the universe. There is something to be said that when you have an attitude of abundance and you see opportunity, and you, as you went to that speaker and heard it, realized that you needed to put some faith out there. And one of the things that I think is important about your story is you embraced that thought and you applied it. You basically said, okay, I've got to do this. There's so many principles there that I think are worth learning. Some people refer to it as burning the bridge. Not burning the bridge, burning the boat. And with burning the boat, I think that's a principle that if you're not familiar with it, you can learn about that. But when you applied it in your business, you quickly, within just a few months, saw the benefits of it. You were all in and you were able to get those clients, grow your income stream. And now, like you were sharing, you work with purpose. You have intent. You're making a difference. It's not just a job. You're actually helping and influencing people that you're working with as your clients. So this is great. So as you make that transition and you start working with these clients, tell us about some of those relationships that you have and where do you feel you are making a difference for the clients that you service?
Yes. So one of my first clients, he's actually my biggest client still, and has been with me now for over a year and a half. Things were so different. It was really interesting to me because I never considered myself to really be a true accountant. I don't have an accounting degree. I don't have an accounting background. And yet, when I took over for the accounting, he hired me as his CFO to oversee what was happening. He already had a bookkeeper, and it was for QuickBooks Online. So mind you, I didn't have any experience with QuickBooks Online at the time either. And I took the QuickBooks tests. They have all these little tests to get to become a pro advisor, which were very, very helpful. And I do recommend for anybody to do that. And I learned on YouTube videos and I looked up, how to do cleanup. And his books were very messy. They weren't done correctly. And so I had to do my first cleanup, and I didn't charge for it because I had no idea what that really was all about.
Okay.
So 45 hours in of just and not being paid for it, and finally getting some headway to understand and to make everything accurate and reconciled and for it to match up. I realized that that cleanups were going to be probably pretty important. So I started learning more and more about doing bookkeeping cleanups. And eventually, he had to, that person left. So I took over her position, and then his payroll person left and I took over that position. And so it was a constant opportunity for me to upsell my services and to really become more valuable to the business owners. So for him specifically, he was having trouble with all kinds of debt and tax issues. We've resolved all of that. We've gotten everything organized. He understands how he needs to charge, which was really important. We're on time for everything. This has been a process. I think even his mindset on money, and I could see it's just calmer. I feel like when I'm looking at people's transactions coming through, for me, money is very much based in habit and behavior and emotion. And I believe that whatever is happening in your business as the business owner, especially if you're a solopreneur, that you can, that it reflects what's happening in your personal life as well, in your personal finances. And I can almost see as the transactions are coming through, the mindset and the feelings and the emotions of this person. Like, are they really nervous about money? Are they stingy? Are they scared? Do they have, do they feel like there's no abundance of it? Are they just spending ridiculously and not paying attention? Is it organized? Is it calm? Is it look like it's stressed? And I can almost see that as the transactions are coming through and what's happening with them in their lives. And I feel like I can really help them to just calm down, take a step back so that you can move forward. You know, that old saying where you have to stop before you can move forward even faster, or slow down to go faster. And that's what I feel like we really do, is we really give them, I give them an opportunity to really see what's happening and why. And then they can make decisions, even though if they're scared. It's like, you know, if you have a problem, you still have to understand what the problem is in order to fix it. You can't just hide away from it. And with money, a lot of us tend to hide away because we get scared of it, especially when we owe money.
True. So when you're sharing that, one of the things that comes to mind is the fact that accounting's more than just numbers. I liked how you're paying attention to the client and who they are as a person, and really trying to identify what their needs are, particularly as it comes to their relationship with money, how they see money, how they make decisions, so that you can actually empower them with the accounting information to be more intelligent about how they think and run their business. So you're doing more than just providing the financial reports. You're being attentive to your clients' needs and who they are as a person. So tell us a little bit more about that, because each client's got to be different. You've got to have, I'm assuming, one type of client with whom you deal a certain way, and then another client that you treat differently. Can you share a little bit of information on that?
Yes. And I really like to get in and understand the client. So what I do is with every client, and every client's different, and I do like to work with contractors a lot because they are outside. They're not in front of their computer. They need a lot of help. And then I actually work with a lot of service and IT industry also. So I feel like I have both sides of the spectrum and a couple of people in between. Because I'm a new business myself, I like to have a niche, but I don't really have a niche yet. I'm just taking any business that I can. But there are a lot of things that are in common for a lot of the businesses, and then there are a lot of things that are very different. And so I try to learn the business and I actually do all the bookkeeping myself. So next year I plan on hiring, but I think what's going to happen is I want to teach someone to do it the way I do it and really look at it and explain why. And that feels like that was the piece that was missing for a lot of these people. They had bookkeepers and accountants, or they would send their information in a package to their tax preparer once a year, and then they never had any information about it later on. But so I feel like I'm bridging that gap. And so there are a lot of differences. So one client, for instance, might be very, very organized or very tech savvy, and they might be a little easier, and it's easier to do their books. And so we spend more time with planning, exit strategies, and thinking about scaling and seeing if we're getting a return on their investment, if they've hired someone, or if they're hired like a marketing or social media person, talking about sales more. The interesting thing about if you're an accountant and you own your own business, you need to be a good salesperson too. So you can help your clients with their sales and with prospecting as well, because you need to be good at that as well. So someone who doesn't need as much help with their financial analysis per se, or it still would be financial analysis, but I guess with organizing and categorizing, we take that a step further and lay groundwork for other things to see what their needs really are. Someone else that really needs a lot of help and has a lot of things coming through and it's really disorganized, we try to organize and streamline as much as possible using apps. I only now offer services on QuickBooks Online, or I actually work with BQE Core and Xero as well, but I don't do any desktop anymore. I actually won't take a client. I'll convert them, but I won't take them. And that's, I think, where my focus is now, more online, which has really helped during the pandemic because I was already virtual. So that was really helpful.
Very good.
Yeah, but I think it's making everything virtual really streamlines and really helps them. They can see things, that they have more visibility. And it gives me the opportunity to spend less time on data entry and more time on the meaty stuff, the stuff that's really important to the client.
Good. Now, I've got a few questions for you that I'm excited to ask. Obviously, at this point, we're aware of the fact that you weren't formally trained as a bookkeeper, as an accountant. What would you say to someone who is maybe considering doing this? Maybe they even have some bookkeeping and accounting training, but their confidence is such that they're leery to get in and start their own business. What would you say has really made a difference for you to be able to go out there and offer confidently the accounting services that you do to the clients that you have? Where do you feel that confidence came from?
I think it was when I was taking on business from other, from other accountants, and I saw that they were making mistakes also. So that kind of, I was like, oh, okay. So, it's not because necessarily I don't have the experience. It just happens. I check and I recheck everything. I'm a really big advocate for, I call it my leaving no stone unturned personality. I'm very persistent. And so I want to learn everything I possibly can. I take all of the classes that I can. I look at videos. I look at YouTube training, and I make sure that everything is done correctly. And so everything for me has to be super organized, and I really have to understand it. I read a lot of books. I read books on Audible. I listen to podcasts, your podcast, for instance. And
thank you.
And
a shameless plug. I like it.
And I read a lot of books on paper also, because I still like to feel things and read things, since I'm of the older generation prior to computer reading. And so I'm constantly really trying to learn the best way. I think that the confidence comes with just doing and figuring it out. So was I perfect in the beginning? No. I knew better, and I knew more than the business owner did. So that was really helpful. And I knew I could still help them. And I just kept learning more. I actually have gone back and even fixed my own things as I learned more, because they made more sense. And I always try to look at the big picture. So not, like I was saying before, not just looking at the transactions, but looking at why we're looking at this. What do we want to see in the business? Where is the business headed? Why is it going in that direction? How is it trending? And what answers, what questions are we looking for? What answers to what questions are we looking for? Because the finances are the language of a person's business. So you can really, it's like your business is talking to you through those numbers. Mm-hmm. And so the confidence just starts building after doing and doing. And I remember I struggled with the confidence piece and the what is that when you feel like you're a fake?
It's imposter syndrome.
Yes, I had the imposter syndrome for a while, and that was really difficult. And I just kept doing and doing. The best way to get rid of imposter syndrome is just to do. Just keep doing it and keep learning and keep growing and keep teaching yourself. And the great thing about not having a background in it is that I can speak to people without using terms I don't understand, because I learned it as a layperson. So I didn't learn it in school. And the other thing I would say, I don't do corporate accounting. I'm not, a CPA in the corporate world. I work with entrepreneurs and small businesses. I believe that's a different structure. That's a different type of accounting. They need different information than a big corporation would need.
So this is something that I think everybody experiences at some time, and it's the imposter syndrome, as you mentioned. There is a philosophy, they use it a lot in acting, that they say, fake it till you make it. And one of the things that I think you're demonstrating here is it's the realization that with a lot of determination and a lot of stick-to-itiveness, you can make this work. And regarding the business services that you're providing, I think you have a unique perspective, having not been formally trained like with an associate's or bachelor's degree in accounting. You came at this having been I think you said you were doing sales in a regional area.
Yes.
So your perspective or background in work was a little different, that I think gives you a different insight when working with your clients, just because of that different perspective. But the thing that I want to ask now is the journey to get those first 4 clients and then eventually then decide to go full time and jump into this. That should have been, I'm sure, very daunting and I'm sure at times scary. Looking back, what do you think got you through that process? What do you think sustained you?
Yes, that's a really good question. It was very daunting. And there were so many times where I thought I was terrified. I'm the only breadwinner in my family, and I have a child. Like, this is it. And I don't have someone else to fall back on. I don't have, like my mom, my poor mom, who was helping me for several years. I don't want to have her keep helping me, which I'm happy to say she obviously no longer is. And a lot of people don't even have that opportunity to have someone help them. So it is very daunting. What really helped me was there were a few things. I think the practice of gratitude, it sounds really hokey, but that totally helped me. Just thinking about what I actually do have. So laying in bed, I remember when I was, before I even got the job and I was unemployed and I couldn't get employment. And then I finally got the job for $7 an hour. $7.10 an hour. I remember laying in bed and thinking, I'm going to be on the street soon. I had maxed out all my credit cards. I had applied for a credit card and started getting declined. So money was out, like done, gone. And I was laying in bed and thinking, I'm going to be out on the street. And I decided that being present for me at that moment meant that at that moment I wasn't on the street. I was still laying in my bed. I still had options. And even if I was on the street, I'd still have options. So I kept thinking about all the things that were good. And so from that point, I would say that experience, that journey, which was so difficult and terrifying for me, really helped me and helps me with my journey now and helps me with my clients because it helped me get out of debt. I got out of debt very quickly. I paid everything off. So I understand what it feels like to do that. And so now, and even just recently, when the pandemic hit, for instance, and we all realized that businesses are going to be shut down. And my first thought was, I've come so far and I'm going to lose it all. And you have to take control of those negative thoughts and those negative stories that you keep telling yourself. And I cried for a moment, and then I picked myself back up and said, okay, well, what can I do now? What can I do more? What can I offer? What can I do differently? And I started just working. I worked with my boyfriend. He's still my boyfriend, who runs his own business. He shared with me some of the things that he was doing. So he was really, truly my mentor as well. And I just started working on a lot of different things. So gratitude really helped me. When everything is really scary, I just think about what I have and what I should be grateful for. And when I start getting upset, that really helps. The other thing that helped also was exercise. I feel like I need to be physically healthy in order to be able to do everything that I do. I have to have the energy. I have to have the clarity of mind, and I have to feel physically fit and physically healthy to be able to do that. So gratitude, exercise, eating well, that really helped. And then having a mentor or someone that you can talk to has been very helpful to me. So I think like those three things, the support group was really helpful.
Those three things are wonderful. I couldn't say them better. The idea of gratitude, I just recently did a 28-day challenge with some of our business clients, and the 28-day challenge is really instilling the habit of gratitude in your day-to-day life. And that is such an integral part of being successful. You have to get through those self-doubting moments, and that attitude of gratitude can inspire you to push through things. So wonderfully said there. Regarding health, I couldn't agree more. When you're not in a physical position to work comfortably and have energy about yourself, it can really tear down your ability to be productive on a day-to-day basis. And so having the mental clarity and the physical stamina to actually do the work can really make a big difference in your success. And then your coach comment, love working with a coach, having a coach, someone that can hold you accountable, someone that you can kind of bounce ideas off of, someone that can help you grow and push you to do things that you maybe have some insecurities about. That's what a coach does. And it really can make you accelerate your success, help you achieve more faster. So definitely want to encourage having a coach, getting a coach if someone is not yet, or if they're considering it.
Yes.
With regards to your last year or so, as you went through these things and you experienced those challenges like you did, especially the almost to the point of becoming homeless, what advice would you give back to your younger self, the person who was a year and a half ago looking at maybe doing this and maybe this will work out? What advice would you give them? What would you say?
I would definitely say a couple of things. One thing would be really the universe or God or whatever you believe in, it has your back. If you allow it, you can do anything. You just have to be persistent. You have to be consistent, and you have to believe in yourself. Again, that sounds super hokey when I'm saying it, but everything will turn out, everything will be okay. Everything will turn out okay, no matter what happens. You'll figure it out. You'll be able to do it. And I wish that I knew that at that time, because I would have saved myself a lot of grief and energy. I burned a tremendous amount of energy worrying. I remember every Thursday evening, I would just have a meltdown for a while. I think because we're getting towards the end of the week, I had worked very, very hard and very long hours. And by Thursday evening, I would just be thinking, why am I doing this? I'm still not making any money. This was last year. I'm still making very little money, and I'm working even more. It doesn't even make sense why I'm doing this, and just having to power through those moments. So I think I would tell myself, yeah, just keep powering through. Stop thinking those negative thoughts. Stop thinking those stories. I had lots of stories in my head too of, I'm old, I'm washed up, I don't know if I can do this, I'm a single mom, no one wants me, I'm not smart enough. All of that was wrong. And so whatever stories you're telling yourself, you just have to stop, because that's the first place to look at it. And then, so what else would I tell myself? Just relax and keep going. It will pan out. Just when you think it's going to break you, or just when you think it's not going to go forward, it does. And I kept hoping and hoping for that moment of when I get that momentum going, when things are actually going to be happening. I kept hoping for that and thinking, this has got to be it. It's got to be getting close, because this is so hard. And it wasn't there yet, but eventually it happened. I feel like momentum builds. It actually reminds me of when you're working out, when you are exercising or dieting and you don't see any results for a long time. The results are underneath. It's like a tree growing with the roots. You don't see the tree growth yet, you see the roots. It's the same thing in your business. You may not see everything that you put into place having an impact, and then suddenly it just breaks free and it starts happening. The momentum becomes obvious. It's not always obvious.
Yeah, it's referred to as a flywheel. So that's one of the things that people make an analogy to. And, so many of the people that are listening to this right now, I think not only can identify with what you just shared, but needed to hear what you said. So many people, I think, are experiencing some of those very moment or very real feelings at this moment. And to hear you share, like you said, all those things, I think you were talking to them specifically. So thank you for sharing that. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to break away just for a quick moment for our sponsor, and I'm going to come right back. But for our sponsors, we just want to mention that for this podcast, everyone listening in, you have a chance to get a copy of the ebook, Red to Black. Red to Black is the how-to guide for accounting professionals to help you actually implement with your clients the very specific strategies you need to help them go from being in the red to in the black. This is a how-to guide for accounting professionals to assist you to be, for your clients, their profit and growth expert. So I invite you to get your copy. Go to the episode description, and there you will find the link that you need in order to get a copy of the book, Red to Black, for your business, so that you likewise can work with your clients and help them with the most challenging issue they're facing today, which is their cash flow management. Now, with that being said, one of the things that I wanted to ask Natalia is, you're in a position right now where you're growing your business. You said that you next year want to hire an employee. Tell us about some of your goals that you have for your company. What are you hoping to accomplish in the next year?
Sure. I want to actually backtrack 1 second and mention the other thing that I was thinking about is to always think about your business at a higher level, like having that 30,000 foot view. I think that, so I realized if I want my business, and this goes right into what I want to do next year, I realized if I want my business to be at a certain level, and I want to grow my business at a certain level and to help as many people as possible and to hire other people, I can't afford that if my pricing is incorrect. And this is the same thing I tell my clients. I really struggled with having correct pricing because I was going through that imposter syndrome. But also I get friendly with people and feel bad for them. And, maybe their business isn't doing as well. And so I cut them a break. And the problem became that I can't help more people, and I actually can't help them very well if I'm not pricing correctly for what I envision for my business in order to, to help other people's businesses. And the working with, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs that need help. And it's sad sometimes to say that, this is my minimum, like I have to charge this. But if they, I've learned one thing, that if they can't afford you or don't want to, they won't. So you're not forcing anybody to work with you, but you have to be honest with yourself, because you're still doing that work, and that work has value to it. And that was one of the biggest pieces that I had to learn. I had to constantly have that CEO attitude of my own business, of this is what I need to do in order for me to get from here to there. And if I get to there, which is, the point B, when I'm at my most successful, also means that I'm helping as many clients as possible. So it's an exchange of that energy. It's exchange of value. And I need to make sure that I value myself and my business in the correct manner. So I did that whole, reverse engineering of the math, and figured, wow, if I want to get to this point, I need like hundreds of clients, and that's not going to work, because I won't be able to do all of that work. So I need to offer either different services, or offer something a bit more, or get a different mix of clients. So I started thinking about what I needed to do to get there. So next year, my goal is to double my business. So for me, doubling my business would mean, 20 to 25K months or more. And so I'm headed in that direction. I'm very excited about it, because I really, even the clients that don't need a lot of help, I'm still giving them peace of mind. I have so many people say, I'm so glad you're doing this. I don't have to worry about it. I can focus on my business and what I do. So it's just been such a pleasure doing that. I'd like to hire someone, maybe part-time at first. I still feel that a little bit of fear of, now I'm going to be responsible for another human being, and making sure that I'm making enough revenue to be able to pay someone. And it's going to cut into my profit. So I need to really manage that very carefully. But I'd like to grow to $1 million and soon. And I never thought that I'd even be saying this, because about a year ago, I was the girl or the woman who thought that she can't do this at all. And now I'm thinking about what it's going to look like to be a 7-figure firm.
Very good. I love it. Now, one of the things that you said in there that I think is so important for everyone to realize is you were making decisions not on who the company is or what the company is right now, but as the leader, you were looking at making decisions based on what you expected the business to be. And I think that's where we make a lot of better decisions, when we're in that healthy spot of, I'm making a decision today based on what I believe the company ought to be doing tomorrow. And if you're making those decisions that way, with that more long-term mindset, that foresight, you're going to make fewer changes, because you didn't make a decision today that you have to change tomorrow because of how things evolve. You're able to make decisions today that are influenced by what you're planning the company to be doing. And so I think you make more informed, better decisions that are long-term in nature. And I think the thing that's probably the most impactful there is you're running the business not based on your current situation and having to adapt to the now. You're able to make these decisions based on, here's what the company ought to be doing. And so you're really working on the business rather than just in it all the time. And so I like how you've described that. That was well said. Yes. With regards to your goal, I think it's an admirable goal. I work with a number of people that have these milestones of, I'm trying to just make X money a month. And then they get to the point where they want to make so much more a month. To have that 7-figure goal, you're going to get it. Basically, it's $88,000 a month in billings is what you're looking for. And if you can actually backwards engineer it, as you described, you can see, okay, based on the number of services I offer and what I charge for those services, this is the number of clients I need. You can backwards engineer your business plan and really not only determine what it will take in order for you to achieve that, but also the timeline that you're going to use to then grow to that level. So lots of good planning can be put in place when you have a clear objective that you're working towards.
Yes.
So regarding your business, I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in knowing their challenge is perhaps marketing and sales. What advice would you give to people as to what you found to be effective as you're growing your business and getting new clients?
Yes. So I do have a sales background, so that was helpful. I think that really understanding why I do what I do, really understanding what the client is looking for. So you have to speak their language. They're not looking for bookkeeping or accounting. They're looking
Correct.
for solutions. And so understanding what those solutions are. So when I get on a sales call, or, we call them a strategy session or a discovery call, I ask a ton of questions all about their business. And I really start breaking down. And the information is really good for twofold. First of all, it gives me a lot of information. Even if we decide not to do business together, I am still gaining information about the recurring problems that entrepreneurs have, a lot that businesses have. So it gives me a lot of information as well. It gives them information even if they decide not to do business with me, because then they can really see, they can pinpoint what their problems are and why. It doesn't give them necessarily the solution, but it gives them a lot of information about their own business. So we have a really good discussion. So I ask a lot of questions, and usually I pick apart what is missing in their business. Like, is it because they're not looking at their profit and loss statement? Is it because they don't have any accounting software set up? Is it because, they're still antiquated and on desktop, which, some businesses, I guess, still probably need to be on desktop because of the inventory, but a lot of businesses don't. So we start picking everything apart. So once you get on that sales call, the asking the questions, I think, is really important. Before getting the sales call, the prospecting piece of it is really important. I talk to everybody about what I do. There's not a single person that has come to work for me in my house that I haven't mentioned that I have an accounting business. Do you need any help? I've gotten several clients that have come to work in my house and help me with stuff. I talk to people in the stores. I talk to everybody I know. I post things. I'm not really a social media expert. I do have LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook that I use, but everybody knows what I do. And so I get a lot of referrals. I get into Facebook groups where my ideal client or people that could be a client are involved. And I just hang out there and see what people are doing and engage. I don't solicit when I'm in those groups. I just engage. I engage in the conversation. And you do have to be careful not to go down rabbit holes and constantly be mindful of how much time you're spending and decide, is this worth my time? Am I getting any revenue? Am I building my revenue by spending my time doing this? And if not, maybe turn to something else that you're better at. But I would say just, keep prospecting. I don't think there's anything wrong with cold emails as long as you're speaking the language that doesn't seem very cold. I've done a lot of email campaigns to get clients. I also think that being seen as the expert in your field is very important. Putting yourself out there and doing things that are uncomfortable are very important. Doing those Facebook Lives. So I ask groups and group moderators if I can be a speaker, if I can maybe have a chance at teaching something or mentoring. I've tried mentoring in groups. Just constantly being there and answering questions. During the entire pandemic, when we were closed, I decided that I needed to learn everything possible about the loans, the EIDL and the PPP loans. And so I was just answering questions. I was working 17-hour days and wondering, is this really going to pan out? Is this what I want to be doing? And am I really getting clients for this? But again, it was building that momentum. Now people constantly turn to me and they're like, and they say, as soon as someone sees a need, someone else says they need something, I get tagged in it because I've come across as that expert or that if I don't know it, I will figure it out and I will learn it for you so that you don't have to learn it. And so I think those things really help is just constantly prospecting, constantly looking for those opportunities, talking about it, and being seen as the expert as much as possible. If you need, and that could look differently. That could be speaking engagements, that could be blogging, that could be getting on podcasts, that could be writing, it could be your social media posts, it could be anything. But just be very careful about the time you're spending on it, that it is producing, that you are getting a return on your investment in time.
I love it. So much good advice in there. One of the things that I think is most important is that very first thing that you were saying, that as people came to your home, as you're out shopping, it's everybody knows what you're doing. You're not afraid to mention what you're doing. And I think that's important because a lot of the people that I'm familiar with, when they speak and you ask, does your spouse know what you do? Or does your neighbor know what you do? Or does your best friend know what you do? Honestly, a lot of the very important people in our lives are not very clear as to what we do for a living. And it's really starting there and letting them know, this is what I do. These are great referrals for me. This is who I work with. And you'll be amazed at how much that can really change and help the referrals you start getting. I've got two last questions for you, and then we're going to wrap this up. One question: what is something that you're thankful for and why?
I am thankful for the people in my life. I'm so thankful for my daughter, that she's doing well. So thankful for for my family. My family has been very supportive in this process. My poor mom, I didn't even tell her I left my other job when I did because I was afraid she'd be so upset. But now she knows. But my sister is also an entrepreneur, and she's been extremely supportive. My boyfriend has been an incredible support system for me. I'm so thankful for being able to be healthy. I've had health issues in my past. I had a stroke about 12 years ago. So being healthy, being able to do things, to exercise, to take a walk, so grateful for that. And always trying to find the silver lining. I'm grateful for being able to find that silver lining. So I know that the pandemic has been horrible for so many people and for so many reasons, but there's also been some positive things and outcomes that have come forward within the pandemic as well. And so always being able to search out for that silver lining. I'm very thankful that I have the ability and the opportunity to remind myself to do so.
Love it. Love it. Here's the other one. Obviously, you've mentioned your mother a number of times here as to how she was both very supportive and helpful in some of this transition that you went through in your life. What's something that you would say to her as a way of expressing your gratitude for her support and being there like she was? What's something that you would say to her?
I'd say, Mommy, I can't believe how she's such an amazing person. She's so giving. She's so generous. She tries so hard to be understanding. She makes me crazy at the same time, I'll admit. But she is my mom. But she's an amazing person. And she taught me, and she completely led a different life than I did. And she actually, I would say she's pretty risk averse. And she didn't really want me and my sister to take a lot of risks. So I think taking risks is very, very important. But even though she was so risk averse, she's a very strong person. She's been through a lot herself, and she's taught me how to be strong. And she always told me, wipe your tears, have a glass of wine, you're a survivor. That's what she always tells me.
Good. That is good, Sue. I really do think many of us are blessed and fortunate enough to have people in our lives that are actually that support, that individual that gives us the confidence to move forward. And so many of us in our lives have those one or two or three individuals that we can just kind of look back and realize so much of what we've been able to accomplish is because we knew that they had our back. They were there to support us. They were there to be leaned upon. And in your case, it was obviously your mother. You've mentioned your boyfriend. You've got your daughter. So there's these important people in our lives that I think we sometimes need to pause, reflect, admit who they are, and when possible, give them the thanks that they deserve. So let me do this. I'm going to recap a few things here real quickly. And then, Natalia, I'm going to come back and ask you for just any final word or thought that you have. Before I give the recap, I do want to do a quick mention again of our sponsor. It's Universal Accounting Center. It's actually the book Red to Black. It's again where you can go get your how-to guide to, as an accounting professional, help business owners with the most challenging issue that they face, which happens to be cash flow management. This book is designed to be the how-to guide for you to actually work as their profit and growth expert, to implement with them specific strategies that are needed to take them from being in the red to being in the black. And so go to the episode description of this podcast to get a copy of that book for you. The recap I give of this conversation is actually with a few things. One, I think Natalia's story is so important. So many people can identify with it. It's interesting to me always how someone gets brought into the accounting profession and how they choose to start their business. And Natalia's story is, I think, very applicable to what we all need to hear. She has such a great story of not only tenacity, taking some risk and really getting out there, but I think her passion and devotion to success is obvious. She's definitely working with her clients and making a difference. She's growing her company. And one of the things that I think is very helpful is just that gratitude attitude, that mindset that she shared earlier on. So many times when the self-doubt creeps in, we need to realize that we need to see in ourselves that greater potential and believe in ourselves to actually accomplish the things that are really available to anyone and everyone if we can just commit and focus and be have that tenacity, the stick-to-itiveness that I think it takes to make this happen. The other thing that I'd like to mention is the idea of having some support, whether it be the coach that like she mentioned or family or friends. We do all need to have someone that we can kind of see as being in our court and our cheerleader to help us actually do this, because there are hard times, but in the end, it can be done. And when those Thursdays come, as Natalia mentioned, we need to be able to push through those and find the energy to continue. And so I challenge you to find that person, identify those individuals in your life, get a business coach, and really have an attitude of gratitude. And with that, I think we can all have good goals that we can achieve in the coming year. So Natalia, what's a closing thought you'd like to share to wrap this up?
So I think one of my other turning points, it was like definitely a fork in the road that I really noticed, was I used to be very annoyed at some of the Instagrammers that would be posting about how they live in Bali now, or they travel the world, and they hardly work a day, and I think, oh sure, when in your 20s, when you don't have any baggage, you don't have any family, to worry about, you don't have a house full of children and pets, sure you could do that. And then I realized that I'm already living that. When I turned that story around in my head and said, I'm already living my vision started happening for me. I think my brain switched to, that is the GPS, that is my point of what I want to envision as my life. And when I already felt like I was living that life that I wanted to live, I'm living the lifestyle I want, that's when things started happening for me even more. So it's really a mind game. My closing thoughts are that everything in life is a mind game, but particularly entrepreneurship. And that's how you can help your clients as well. You can help them with that mind game. You can help them understand and really focus on the numbers and what the numbers mean in their business, but also help them move forward in understanding their mindset and how they should position themselves and how they need to think and envision their business and envision their lives.
Amen, amen, amen. I love that. That is so true. Happiness comes from having clarity as to what it is you want. And the more clear you can be as to what you're achieving, the more likely it is you'll obtain it. So you have to be very clear in what you want. And it's different from everyone. Every client that you're going to be working with is going to define what that happiness, what that purpose is for themselves. And as they can clearly define it, they'll more likely achieve it. So well said. Let me just basically encourage everyone here today. If you've liked this episode, I invite you to listen to our others. We have many episodes in the podcast that are available to be listened to help you with your business to build the premier accounting firm in your area. So I invite you to actually go and subscribe to the podcast to get notifications as to new episodes as they become released. With that, we do want to encourage you to also reach out to Universal Accounting Center. We here are committed to helping individuals start and build their own successful accounting, bookkeeping, and tax businesses, offering quality accounting services as certified, trained individuals. And at Universal Accounting Center, we're committed to helping you be in business for yourself, but not by yourself, as every program actually assigns to you very successful mentors that you're able to work with and get the support you need so you're not in business by yourself. Now, with that being said, you can visit us at universalaccountingschool.com or give us a phone call at 801-265-3777. And with that in mind, always remember, if it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care and have a great day.